Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another player ratings live stream. From the first time that Chelsea have managed to score more than 2 goals ever since Thomas Tuchel took charge of Chelsea, and it's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful day. That first half was definitely the best football we played all season. That was absolutely wonderful. We're all over the moon. We're all over the bloody moon. I hope all of you guys are just as much as we are. Of course, we are joined by my partner in crime for these player rating live streams, and hey, recently even for my previews, Mr. CFCPys. What a day today has been, eh?
Yeah, I'm absolutely gassed. Honestly, like I'm so happy for the win, you know, and to get 4 goals as well. I was cautiously kind of nervous yesterday, to be honest, and then I got even more nervous when Liverpool won. I was like, oh, please don't, like, because we'd be, you know, if we drew, we were going to be on the same points, and you know, if we lost, obviously we're behind them, but. That performance was amazing. You know, the 2 goals in the first 10 minutes were both amazing. And yeah, honestly, a lot of high ratings are coming out today from me anyway, because that was great. And yeah, just gassed, honestly, just gassed.
Exactly. No, I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And myself and Pys even said it before Jam joined our call. Jam is in a great mood at the best of times. Imagine the man himself on a lovely 4-1 day victory. My bro, Jam, how you doing today?
Absolutely gassed. Just like Pi said, I had that nervous energy going into this game. With that last-minute winner went in for Liverpool, I was just like, here we go. It's peak. It's peak. But no, actually, Chelsea settled me down nice and early today. You know, they settled my nerves down, got a nice early goal, 2 early goals, and it was just comfortable from then on. So I'm in a really good mood. It's Saturday night, you know, big smile on my face. I'm just ready to watch football stress-free tomorrow and have a chat with you lads tonight. So all good, thanks, my man. All good.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that sentiment. You know, obviously Leicester, West Ham tomorrow, and Spurs, Manchester United tomorrow as well. And it's certainly easier to watch those games and follow those games when you've got yourself a lovely dub. At the moment, by the way, we even have the same goal difference as Leicester and Spurs. So, you know, if results go our way, we even have better goal differences than them, which, you know, with how tight the top 4 race is, could certainly be a decisive factor by the end. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, if you're watching this right now, first of all, big ups to all of you guys. I really do appreciate every single one of you that does tune into this every day, every week, whenever I'm about. You know, I really do appreciate it. Get subscribed if you're new here. That'd be massively appreciated. We want to hit 10,000 subscribers as soon as we bloody can. Smash that like button. I've said it numerous times. YouTube loves likes, so just smash the like button for us, please. Helps push these videos out to more people. That's how content creators grow. So please do that. Use the super chat function if you fancy it. Of course, you will never have to. But other than that, yeah, you know, subscribe, like, and of both. Of course, check out both of these guys down in the description below. Of course, Jam, as part of the Chelsea Social, the link to their YouTube channel is down in the description. And check both of them out on Twitter. Of course, you all know CFCPys, but hey, if you don't follow him yet, go do that right now. And of course, Carefree Jam as well. And I guess with all of that said now, having gotten all of the admin stuff out of the way, let's just talk about tonight's game. Or this afternoon's game, whatever you want to call it. Let me go with you first, Jam, because obviously I have Pys about 4 these player ratings live streams. The man gives his opinion all the time. Nah, taking the piss. But Jam, let me know, what did you feel about that game, especially those first 10 minutes? I mean, that was insanity, wasn't it?
Yeah, Palace got pressed like they're at the dry cleaners, man. It was peak for them. As soon as they kicked off, it was just like, oh, here we go. You know, there are some times where you think, we're in for a long day. Then you straight away. I said it in my I did a very quick review video yet to go up, but I said the Palace defense looking at our attack today, it must have been looking at the Avengers, you know, when they've got that scene where they're all running like this. Seriously, it was just peak straight away, headed up by Captain America himself, of course. But I was pretty calm as soon as I saw how things were set up. I mean, the goal came quite early, the 2 goals came quite early. So it was a pleasure to watch Chelsea today. Even it was more pleasurable than watching the Porto game because that kind of dragged on a little bit. We weren't looking too good. But this game, from kickoff, we were absolutely fine. And I just loved the control we had. Didn't really panic. And I just liked the movement from the front players today. Like, if there's one complaint we can have under Tuchel is the fact that maybe our attack hasn't been as smooth as it could have possibly been. But today, obviously, they scored 4 goals and could have scored a lot more. We'll get to that. But today, it was looking pretty damn good. We were creating chances at will. And I think that's the first step, and the next steps will come from there. We will finish these chances, and hopefully we will score over 2 goals in future games to come. So, yeah, I'm really happy with that performance. It's certainly one of our better ones under Tuchel, for sure.
100%. And I mean, I've been, what's the word? Riding that drum, what would you say?
What, banging the drum?
Yeah, you're pushing that agenda, right?
Yeah,
our
banging
best
that
front
drum.
three. Yeah, exactly. Our best front three is when Timo Werner is not in it. And we have today found Chelsea's best front three, and I've been saying this for months. Obviously, Christian Pulisic's injury troubles have kind of hindered us from using it more, and who knows, maybe we would have done. But I've been saying this all along, and I will still stick by it. This is our best front three, and I'm not having it other way. Obviously, if we sign Haaland into someone, that's a different scenario. But for now, to win us the Champions League, we need our best front three, and this is it. And this is it. CFCPys, what do you think? First of all, do you agree with that this is by quite some margin, our best front three? And again, give us some extra words about the game. Obviously, you shared some of it at the very beginning already.
No, to be fair, I completely agree. I mean, the only one I do kind of like to see sometimes, I like to see Hudson-Odoi on the left in the front three. But, I mean, him and Pulisic, for me, would be my first two. Werner really offers much. That being said, Werner is probably going to play, still on the left sometimes and that. But if Pulisic can keep going, then there's no reason why, Pulisic doesn't, keep that spot anyway for now. I mean, he was amazing today. And things with Pulisic, he's always had the talent. It's just, get the confidence back up because he's always littered with injuries. And he just really showed his old self from, that period last season. Especially, it's like Crystal Palace away last season. He was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing today as well. So he's always had the talent. I'm just so glad he came through again. The fantastic finish for the first goal and the second goal. Really nice run to the back post as well. We saw that again last season. Reminded me, Simon, of Aston Villa away. He came at the back post, I think, for one of the equalisers. And he just really nice ball by Reece James as well. And Pulisic has got very underrated movement. And just in general, I was so happy with our performance. I mean, it was like one touch at times. I couldn't keep up with it. I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, honestly, it was honestly brilliant, and you could not have asked for more. Obviously, we had you were kind of breaking up there, Pys. That's why I interrupted you. I do apologize. It was so crazy at times that I was like, what are we seeing here? Obviously, people have put it in the chat and places of Blues Fan TV as well. Don't get too hyped. It was also Palace being poor. I mean, you'll never know. It felt like, to me personally, it was mostly us being good, making them look poor. Than them necessarily being poor.
We made them look poor. It's as simple as that. They couldn't get near us. We was 1-2 snappy. Everyone was moving. It was fluid, and that's what we've wanted to see the whole time. And Tuchel must have said something to them after that Porto game. You avenged that West Brom Prem game. Top 4 is priority for us. Champions League, cool. Let's see how far we can go in that. But top 4, if you want a big summer, to give the fans what they want as well. Champions League football. We're gonna have fans back next season. It's massive. So if they can just keep churning out performance like this, then amazing. And today was it was liquid football. Honestly, it was so good. Really, really good. Midfield, attack, everyone, even at the back, really composed. Honestly.
It really was like that. It was absolutely brilliant. I've managed to get the ratings thingy to move across the bottom by now. I always have to change it from the last game and blah, blah, blah. So I managed to get that done, meaning we can actually get into talking about actual player ratings. It's going to be less interesting when talking about the defenders today because the fancy stuff was happening in the attack, this time round. Rather than for the Porto game, we was gassing up all the defensive players and then we got to Werner and Havertz and we're kind of slandering them. So now let's get the kind of average stuff, or not even average, just less fancy stuff out of the way. Edouard Mendy, of course, didn't manage to keep a clean sheet, but can't really do much about that goal, I would say. And other than that, didn't have a single save to make. So to be honest, I'm not even sure how to rate him. Do you give him a 6 or 7? I don't know, because he didn't have a single save to make. Well, he had one to make. He didn't make that, but he couldn't have made that. And he didn't make a single other one. So I struggle with that one today. Jam, what do you think about Mendy? A 6, a 7? Do you give him higher? I don't know.
It's a bit of a hard one, but I'd say a 6. I mean, it's not a clean sheet, so I struggle to give a bit more than that. Didn't make many other saves, if any, beyond that, like you said. but he was okay with his feet today. I don't think he made much of any errors, and obviously we use him quite a lot like that. So yeah, it's just one of those days where he'll be the only one in the dressing room, kind of like in a bit of a mood, maybe for like 2 minutes as soon as they got back in there. But after that, no, do you know what? It was a decent performance. That's all you can say. Like, okay.
Oh, 6. Yeah. I forgot about the Classico. Real Madrid were 2-0 up already. What madness happening here?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Just put it in the chat. I'll put it on my phone. But, yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with the 6. Maybe we should give him a 6.5 because still good with his feet. Pys, what are you thinking about Mendy today?
Yeah, again, I mean, really hard to rate him because he didn't really have many saves to make because he was just so good. I agree, he couldn't have saved the header. It was very well placed. So, I mean, yeah, 6.5 probably. I mean, it's only really fair. I mean, you can't really give him higher, as I said, because what did he really have to do? He wasn't really called upon because we were the ones controlling everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. I mean, I think that's fair. Shall we agree on a 6.5? I think that's not too bad. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get the Classico stream up here on my phone, even though I've missed 2 goals. And every time I see Barcelona play in their home kit, I'm like, this is a shocker. Is this even their normal home kit? It looks like a special kit. It looks shit anyway. Toni Kroos scored in the Classico as well. All right. And anyways, let me add quickly the rating for Edouard Mendy before we get to Cesar Azpilicueta, who I thought had a very good game today. And when he gets home, he will not only take out his keys and his wallet and his phone, he will also take out a little annoyed Wilfried Zaha who had nothing to do today other than swear at people. But, what do you make of Azpilicueta today? Obviously, maybe he wasn't 1,000% perfect, but I thought he was very, very good. I don't know. I would be inclined to drop him an 8, maybe. Well, what are we saying, Pys?
Do you know what? I was going to say like 8 to be fair as well, because he was really solid to be fair and dealt with Zaha well. So yeah, I think that's a fair rating. I wouldn't go higher than that personally, but I think maybe 8.5. I mean, he was solid, so a good rating. I think it would be that. Yeah, I do agree.
Fair enough. Jam, what about you? 8.5, bit lower maybe. What are you thinking?
I would say either a 7.5 or 8. So I'll go with an 8. I thought he was very, very good at when he had to defend. He just defended and he'd always come away with the ball. And there was a point I remember when I think Benteke tried to outrun him, and I was a bit worried. I thought, well, Benteke might outmuscle him here. And he just pounded him off. Like, Azpi just sorted him out quick. That was quite easy. So, real good performance today from him. Steady, dependable as ever. And he led the back line pretty well, apart from that 1 goal, which, you can't really put any blame on him. So, yeah, I'll go with an 8. Nothing more than that, really.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I just saw the replay of Toni Kroos's goal. It was a free kick goal that took a little bit of a deflection. Any which way. Rating-wise, obviously, Jester put it here in the chat. Azpi was good, but the goal came down his side. I mean, the goal was weird anyway. Let's just get it out of the way, I guess. It was like 3.5, 4 players just watching Schlupp just run. Like, it was Kante was there, who in the end did try to follow Schlupp, but was way too late. Callum, whose side it was, Azpi, of course, the right centre-back towards that side, and Mount was kind of dropping back too. And none of them really wanted to get involved in the situation. And, we just let Schlupp cross, which wasn't great. We should have done better. But I would say Azpi probably takes the least of the fault there. It's either Callum, who, because it's his right wing-back side, should follow the run, or Kante just because he was closest. So I think because obviously you said 7.5, 8, I said 8, 8.5, and Pys was pretty set on the 8. I think giving him an 8 overall is pretty fair, I would say. Getting to Zouma, who of course somewhat surprisingly played today because Andreas Christensen, somewhat annoyingly, always has these little things going on. Obviously, the other week he was out with some sort of illness or had a fever, and now he has apparently a small injury. Obviously, let's see whether he's back for the Porto game on Tuesday or not. Obviously, he might not be playing anyway because Thiago Silva, of course, is back or is fine, was just suspended today. But none of us expected Zouma to play. But other than a little mistake would just be cleaned up for him shortly after he scored, Zouma was brilliant. Quite frankly, Zouma was brilliant. Scored a goal. And so I would say defensively, pretty much, because Azpi and Zouma had both one defensive mistake each. But Zouma scored a goal, so I'm going to give Zouma a 9. Are we fair with that? Or is that a bit too high? Just because the goal, do you know what I mean? Hit me. One of you guys, hit me.
Yeah, go on, yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from with the 9. Just there wasn't a clean sheet. That's the only thing that's getting me a little bit.
Maybe 8.5.
Maybe we rated Aspi a little bit too high. That's kind of what I'm thinking now because it's like, ooh. But anyway, I could give him a 9. I could go with that. I thought he defended pretty well. And
now you know what? Man. You're right. Let's give Aspi a 7.5. I think maybe we're yeah. And then but do we give Zouma an 8 then or an 8.5?
I'd say 8.5. I like 8.5 is pretty good. I mean, yes, no clean sheet, but a great goal. Like, you know, he's such a threat in the air Zouma and all that. He literally just absolutely climbed and put everything through it into the back of the net. So solid. Yeah, I like 8.5.
Exactly. Pys, what about you? Would you say 8, 8.5, 9? What would you think about Kurt?
I was going to say 8 or 8.5 as well. I'm kind of torn. I think maybe he gets the 0.5 for the goal. It's hard to be fair. I'll go with 8 to be fair. I'll go with 8 just to spark some discussion, I think. Okay,
but are you saying 8 while we also give Aspi an 8, or are you saying 8 for Zouma when we gave Aspi the 7.5?
No, 8 for Zouma, 7.5 for Aspi.
Okay, that's okay as well. Jam, would you push for the 8.5, or do you think 8 is also fair? I can't decide really, so you're going to have to help me.
Okay, well look, let's be tough. Let's be tough judges. How about that? So we'll go with 8.
Let's go with 8. And also, by the way, guys, you in the chat. Let's use the first 3 people in the chat. Drop us your ratings for Zouma. I know some of you have said it already, but put us your rating in the chat right now. And the first 3, whatever makes sense from there, give us that. We'll just give that. While we start talking about Antonio Rüdiger already, who, in my opinion, was absolutely brilliant. He was really, really good today. Can't fault him for nothing. Nearly scored as well. Van Aanholt obviously clearing off the goal line from a header. People saying 8, so 8 it is. Again, Zouma, I mean, obviously, Rüdiger obviously didn't score, but defensively was probably the best of the 3 because he didn't make even a small mistake. Like you could argue maybe Aspiad and Zouma definitely did with that one mistake that Aspiad had to clean up for him. So do we get... I don't think we can give him higher than Zouma, who scored a goal. But I think he was so good defensively that maybe he gets an 8 anyway. Also, some of his long passes and switches of play over to Callum on the other side were very, very good and very helpful in, getting past Crystal Palace and opening up their defense. So I would personally go for an 8 as well because, like I said, I thought he was the best out of the lot, but just didn't score. Hence why same rating as Zouma. Pys, what would you make of that one? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, to be fair, I quite like your reasoning. Obviously, we can't really give him higher because of the goal, but I think he was the best, defensively out of the 3. Very impressed with Rüdiger. Honestly, so. I never say this about Rüdiger, but he has been so consistent. Like with the old Rüdiger, it'd be like 1 game good or 2 games good to be fair to him, and then maybe he'd have a howler like the game after. Like we couldn't get a consistent run out of him. It was just very odd, and people are holding him in such more sort of a high regard now, which is really nice to see, and he just looks so comfortable in the 3 at the back as well. So I would definitely give him an 8 as well, and just very impressed with him, to be fair.
That's funny. Me and Pys always, whenever Pys says, yeah, but I think he was man of the match, so he has to be highest rating. So I'm like, yeah, he can still be man of the match, and they all have the same rating. So Jess has implied that. Makes sense. So let's give Rüdiger that 8. I think it's fair. And I guess next in line, maybe we should... let's just go with Joe, just because he's here in my lineup like that, in that order. Let's go with Callum Hudson-Odoi, who was very good. Particularly in the first half, he was very good. Start of the second half, he was kind of stuck. Not certainly the reason, but he was struggling a little bit with, Palace being a bit more aggressive for the first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, and the sub bringing Reece James on for him certainly gave us some solidity. Plus, Reece James, of course, got the assist for Pulisic as well. So, I think just the first half, I'd give Callum an easy 8, if not 8.5. But then the second half was maybe more of a 6.5 until it was taken off. So maybe 7.5 for Callum. Would we say that's fair?
I'd give him higher. I'd give him much higher than that, to be fair.
Really?
I thought he was really, really good. Yeah, throughout the whole game. Especially with the crosses as well. The attacking intent was amazing from him. The runs he was making down the right, the link up, even with Aspi down the side, and then with Mount, he was, to be honest with you, he was very good for me. I'd give him a 8.5.
But including the second half, where obviously he was partly at fault for the goal, him and Kante, and
I thought
we were struggling down that left-hand side until he was taken off in the second half.
Nah, I don't think so.
Fair enough. Hey, we're here to disagree.
I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree.
No, I mean, we'll have to agree on a compromise of a rating, but I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Maybe I was a bit harsh. But Jam, what do you think? What would you think about Callum?
I'd actually, do you know what? I'm not just sitting on the fence, but I'd actually go in the middle. I'd go with an 8 because I thought he was superb.
But that puts him on the same as Zouma. Don't you think that's a bit harsh? Who scored?
No, because he got an assist. He was still up and down that wing. He was absolutely brilliant, and his link-up play was just superb. I think his vision too. So he definitely deserves a high score. I think what would have taken it higher is if he may have got another assist or put himself on the score sheet. Yeah, you can argue maybe defensively he could have been slightly at fault for that goal. But I thought it was a very solid innings from him today. I thought, he impressed me. If I were Tuchel, I'd be giving him a massive tick for this game.
Fair enough. I mean, just as an interesting sort of comment there, because I think you always have to consider if you're in the attacking thirds and there's no dodgy passes in there, you're probably doing something wrong because then you're not trying difficult enough passes. Unless you're Messi, I'm not expecting you to pull off every difficult pass in the final third. So if all of your passes are to the man, then you probably not tried the hard enough passes. And also by that logic, we'd probably have to give Havertz a 6 for missing the sitters, even though he was still the best player on the pitch. So for me, it's just the defensive problems at the start of the second half, which for me took Callum a little bit lower. That was the main reason for me, rather than, and the one moment late in the first half when he just decided to shoot from the stupidest angle rather than cutting it back to a free man. But fair enough. I think overall we can agree on an 8. I think that's fair then. And then we get to Ben Chilwell, who I thought was, again, really good. Obviously slightly different in terms of, even though they're both wing backs, he was slightly different to Callum. But he was very good. Like, he was bombing up and down a wing. He won the free kick from which we scored the 3-0. Should have had an assist, but instead went for glory and tried to curl it with his weak right foot rather than cutting it in for an easy tap in for Mason Mount. And to be honest, he had another moment where he just blasted it as well. Not far over, to be totally honest with you, but I'd be inclined to give Chilwell an 8 as well. I know Pys will probably say Joe was better than him, but I think Chilwell was just more consistently on an 8 level throughout, while Joe was maybe a 9 in the first half and then maybe an edge lower in the second half, if that makes sense. I think an 8 for Chilwell is fair. Pys, what would you say?
Yeah, to be fair, surprisingly, I'm going to kind of agree with you. I thought Chilwell was really good today, especially going forward. The only one thing that annoyed me is that he didn't cut it back. When he took the shot and it went wide, that was another goal, 100%. So, I mean, maybe if he cut that back, then he would have probably got even higher rating because he would have got an assist. So, that's probably the only one thing he did wrong. But then again, I mean, I can't really blame him. He's got confidence from his goal against Porto. So, why not shoot? And we was goals ahead. So I think everyone at that point was just trying to get in on the act. So, I can't really blame him as such. But because it's ratings, I have to be a little bit harsh compared to the other players. Obviously, we've got to try and give everyone as fair rating as possible. But 8 definitely was solid defensively and really good going forward. So, yeah, I was impressed with him as well.
I was impressed with him too. And sorry, Louis, but I just have to wholeheartedly disagree with you, because if you're going to blame a dude that's 5'10", for losing a header against a dude that's 6'3", then that's a bit outrageous. And then I wish you good luck, and I will happily throw you into a header against someone that's 5-6 inches taller than you and tell you, well, do that, please. So, I think that's a bit outrageous, Louis. But, Jam, what would you say about Chile? Is 8 fair? Maybe even higher, because I totally get what Pys said. Maybe he would be even higher without the cutback. But again, Callum could have had that cutback too and decided to shoot. And arguably the effort was worse than Chile's, but Callum did still get the assist. So, like I said, I think giving them both an 8 is fair.
Yeah, just about. I was kind of debating in my own head about 7.5 or 8. And it's not because he didn't play well, but because Cal got the assist and I just saw him involved a lot more. I'm sure he had more touch of the ball in the opposition third anyway. It feels like he did. He just feels like he was a bit more involved
from the different types of full wing backs that they are.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not. That's no fault of Chili's. Let me get out there. That's no fault of his. But when he did get involved, he was involved and he looked dangerous. Yes, 2 of the shots he had should have been cut back. So the decision making could be better. Could have been better with Cal. But yeah, eight works for me. I think defensively he was solid. He was better than Cal was, so that balances out in that sense. The only thing is, I probably do give him just a little bit of blame for the goal. I think it's shared throughout a few people. I wouldn't say as bluntly as Louis said. I wouldn't say it as he was at fault. I just think perhaps he could have maybe done a little more. But it's Benteke, isn't it? How that only got you have to say that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think there was no one other than Benteke in the box. So I think if we're gonna blame Chile for not winning the header, we should be blaming Rüdiger for not staying with Benteke because there was no one else to mark there anyway. So
yeah, true.
As the centre-back, you should probably stay with the striker rather than dropping him off to your left-back, who's significantly shorter than you and the attacker. So for me, on the first half, I fully agree with what you said. I mean, we agreed on the 8 rating overall anyway. But I think in the second half, Chilwell was super good. Obviously, had those 2 moments where he should have maybe squared it or cut it back rather than shoot. But he was super involved in the second half. Obviously, Callum didn't play the full second half. But I think Chilwell was really impressive in the second half. He, first of all, didn't stop running. Again, won us the free kick with a lovely piece of, just spurt of pace, I guess, that we scored the 3-0 from. Again, I mean, we're not in disagreement here, really. I'm just trying to explain why I was so happy with him, if that makes sense. And I guess next we get to our unbelievably incredible double pivot. I mean, I just want to go back. I just want to take you back to about a week ago when this entire chat and the entirety of Chelsea football Twitter was just saying Jorginho should never start again. Man drops a masterclass for performance, as did Mateo Kovacic, of course. They were both absolutely amazing. I mean, they were both brilliant. Kovacic had a couple of dodgy moments. For example, when he let a throw in, just go over his back straight to the opponent. What are you doing? While Jorginho was maybe not quite as daring with some of his passes, but still more daring than he has been other times. So I was super happy with both of them. I would personally give both of them a 9. I would just chuck it out there. I think they were both so incredible. I would give both of them. I don't think you can play much better as a double pivot than they did today. And if it wasn't for the small mistakes of Kovacic, he might even be edging a 10. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pys wants to give him a 10 anyway. So let me go with you first, Pys. What would you say about those two? I mean, you can split them up individually, but like I said, for me, they were just both 9s because they were equally as good as each other. Hence why I'm just going to do it like that.
No, honestly, I want to give Kovacic a 10, but they were both very, very good. And you mentioned the whole of Chelsea Twitter. I was going to butt in and say, but me, because I've been preaching, don't slander these guys. Honestly, you can have your problem with them in a one-off game or whatever. Oh, they didn't play well today. But don't start saying they should be taken out and don't start saying they shouldn't play, because every time you say that, they come and prove you wrong again.
Or just keep saying it so they keep proving them wrong.
Yeah, which is why I do all the tweets and I say, that happened again, great performance, because as much as they get hate, they just love shutting people up. They are 2 very good players. They can have off days where their passing is not good or they get caught out or whatever. But I tell you what, man, I said this to you on the preview. I said, these 2 will play well. I was like, just watch. It always happens. Every time that they play bad or have an off game, they play amazing the next game because they already have that connection. It works so well for 90% of the time. It's just, not even that, probably 95% of the time. It's just, that 5%, maybe that one or 2 games where it doesn't go quite right. But, for me personally, I'll give Kovacic just an edge higher than Jorginho because I looked at the stats and he made 11 out of 11 long passes, accurate, complete 11 out of 11. And some of the passes he was making over the top to Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, I was drooling, man. Honestly, I was drooling. He was, for someone...
I swear Kovacic can't be... Jorginho can't have been much worse in terms of the amount of long passes completed. He can't have he can't have more than 1 or 2 that he didn't complete, I swear.
I'll have to look at the stats, but I will say this. I noticed Kovacic's long balls and passing in general just more than Jorginho's. He was catching my eyes so much, but they were both really good. But I would just give Kovacic just an edge higher, just for some of the passes he was making, like he could have had 2 assists as well if Mount didn't miss the shots. But I mean, just
Jorginho could have had an assist with the Kai thing. But I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, I'm not putting Jorginho down. I'm just saying, like, Kovacic for me was just top today. They both were, but Kovacic especially, just because he gets so much hate and it's just like unjustified. Like, honestly, to be honest, I'll even put both at a 9.5. I think they were that good, honestly.
That is fair. I mean, Jam looked slightly surprised when I was saying 9 for each of them. So let's see what we get there. Again, for me, Kovacic certainly had a few more of those passes, which is, like I said, he was more daring with them. But Jorginho had the one for Kai where Kai turned into Paul Gascoigne and, flicked it over the defender with his first touch, and then his second touch, the shot sadly wasn't quite clean enough to get it into the goal, even though it was on target. That was a beautiful over-the-top ball by Jorginho. And again, I just didn't think Jorginho made a single mistake, but just wasn't quite as daring going forward, while Kovacic made a couple of mistakes. Not necessarily awful ones, but the one where he let the throw in over his body, and that was one of the biggest West Palace chances. So I will class that as a mistake. Like I said, for me, it's very often when these two play together that in the end, I want to give them the same rating, because I think the one wouldn't be playing like he would without the other. So I think they're super codependent in terms of performance. If the one's good, the other one's good. If one's bad, the other one's bad, regardless of who of the two it is. But Jam, drop us. Would you be more leaning towards an 8.5, or why did you look so surprised when I was throwing a 9 out there?
I suppose because a 10 out of 10 is a perfect performance, isn't it? I've heard your arguments now, and I'm thinking, actually, yeah, they were pretty good. Realistically, I think Kovacic was better than Jorginho today. My one thing with him has always been, I just need him to do more going forward. I think today he did. I think today he was straight away from minute 1. I saw it from him, and he was just straightforward. And like Pys said, his long balls today were absolutely unreal.
Two not completed long passes, so not bad either. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Well, yeah, and I just felt Jorginho was less present than Kovacic. It just felt like that. I saw Kovacic in more places. It just felt like he was involved a little bit more. So with that in mind, I'd probably go 9 for Kova and 8.5 for Jorginho. But that's not to say Jorginho played badly, because I don't think he did at all. He played well. They both did. And as you said, they played very well together as a duo. But I think Kovacic had that bit much more of a better game, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just Kovacic will always stand out more than Jorginho because of the type of player he is. While Kovacic was in and around the box half the game, while Jorginho was the one that sat. So obviously you'd see the guy more. Like I said, for me, I think it would be very fair to give them both the same rating. I mean, Pys said give them both 9.5. You said Kova 9, Jorginho 8.5. I would say 9. I'm not sure whether I should overrule you two, as it's my channel, and I'm saying for 9 for both.
I'd say 9 for both then. It's in the middle, isn't it?
Three key passes as well for Kovacic, and Jorginho had 1, so...
Yeah, again, I mean, that's just, to me, obviously you're the more defensive player, so I would always expect that. I mean, by that logic, we can never give Kante higher than a 7, because how many key passes has Kante had in his career?
Yeah, but remember, Kovacic can't pass, so I thought...
No, he can pass, he just can't shoot.
Yeah, no, but I get told he can't pass, so I'm just saying.
You know what? I do the same as I did last time, and I throw out the 0.25 one, so I'm giving Jorginho a 9 and Kovacic a 9.25. Because I cannot decide, and it's unfair otherwise. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have 220 people watching, which big up to everyone that's tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. We want to hit 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We're getting very close to 9.2, so not just over 800 away. We can make that happen very, very soon. So make sure you subscribe if you're new here. That'd be massively appreciated. Smash the like button. Let me see how many we're on. Definitely not anywhere near enough, considering we have 230 people watching. We're only on 47 likes. Come on, let's get to 100 likes right now. Go down below, smash the like button, turn it from a boring grey to a lovely blue. It doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. Just click it. It's just super quick. Just get it done. And use the super chat function if you fancy. But now that we're done with the brilliance that was our double pivot, let's get to the brilliance that was the best front three currently available at Chelsea Football Club. Well, we go with Mason Mount first, who obviously didn't quite take the headlines as much as Pulisic and Havertz. but was regardless absolutely incredible. Maybe he should have scored one from his couple of the chances, but at the end of the day, he was brilliant. I mean, the little bust up he had with Zaha, again, showing captain material, doesn't back down no matter how short, small, or whatever he is. My favourite thing was when Zaha went moaning at the ref, Mount was just laughing his ass off and just laughing at him. What are you doing? It was brilliant. He just mugged him right off. Brilliant. Big fan of Mason Mount, as always, of course. I thought it was amazing. I honestly thought it was amazing. And 8.5? 8.5? Because I think
9.5. 9.5.
9.5. So what are you giving Kai Pulisic then?
Bro, we'll wait to see that, but I honestly, because Mount got man of the match as well. So, I mean, or to be fair, now you've said that, maybe a 9.25, because you're doing these kind of little kind of ratings as well, like 0.25s. Because I do want Kai a little bit higher, but Mount today, I think, was excellent. Very, very good. Honestly, on and off the ball was superb. And honestly, he gets a little bit of extra hype from me for that, like, confrontation with Zaha as well, man. I love that. It was brilliant.
I'll accept the 9. I think 9.25 is maybe edging it a bit. Jam, what would you say?
When you said 8.5, I was nodding my head. But then I realised that, Kovacic and Jorginho are in the 9s, aren't they? So yeah. I thought Mount was at least equal to them. So he was fantastic today. He really is. When we played well going forward, he's the glue that holds it all together. He really is. Like the amount of times the ball goes through him and something happens is unreal. His set pieces, they're becoming more and more consistent. They're not always up to scratch, but when he does get it, he does get the money, and he does. What am I trying to say? He hits the nail on the head. Anyway, let's say that. But no, he's absolutely fantastic. And like Pys said, like you said yourself, I love that bust up he had with Zaha. Just smile at him. Just smile at him. He knows he's good. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, 9, solid 9 for Mace. Absolutely superb today.
Yeah, okay. No, I think you guys are right. You kind of convinced me. Like everything does go through him. That's true. I don't know. I had in my head the one pass in the second half where he tried to put it over to Pulisic and the defender just about intercepted it, and the 2 shots where on one occasion he, for me, took an edge too long. Otherwise, Kane probably doesn't get the block in. But yeah, no, you're right. He was still absolutely brilliant. And next we get to Christian Pulisic. Captain America has found his shield again. 2 goals on the day. Felt like a deja vu because with the same kit, at the same end, in the same stadium, with the same weak foot, he smacked it into the same corner of the same goal as he did after restart. Hey, so it felt like a deja vu, but to make it even better, he got another one. Brilliant today. Not quite as... I didn't quite see him as much as Mason and Kai, but when I did see him, he was brilliant every time, if that makes sense. So I would give him a 9... Maybe I want to give him a 9.5. Because 2 goals is 2 goals, isn't it? But for me, like Kai was man of the match. I don't care whether he should have had 4 goals. I think he was man of the match. So, and I can't give Kai a 10 for missing 3 assists. So, do you know what I mean? I'm struggling here. I mean, maybe we should give both of them a 9.5 and do what I always say, that still one of them can be man of the match. You know what? Pulisic 9.5 from me. Pys, what about you? Would you even give him a 10? Maybe
9.5 as well for me. 2 very good goals. One with incredible movement, and one was a ruthless finish. So very happy for him as well. And yeah, definitely a 9.5 for me, 100%.
I mean, that is fair. We were rattling through this quickly here, Jam. You nodded in agreement as well. 9.5 for you too? Yeah,
9.5. He was clinical today. Yeah, he's not Captain NHS today. He's Captain America. This is him. This is him firing on all cylinders again, and it's getting to that point in the season where like last time, he's starting to get there. So hopefully, he could be like he was in Project Restart. I really hope so, and maybe that time on the sideline could be similar to the time last year that we had when things were locked down. The original lockdown. So hopefully, that's going to bring out the best in him. But I thought his finish was absolutely superb. Left foot, near post, roof of the net like that. Absolutely incredible. Great finish. And like Pys said, his his timing at the back post was brilliant. To get that easy finish. That isn't necessarily always the easiest thing to do, to get that timing and be in the right place at the right time. That's what Raheem Sterling's very good at, and he gets most of his goals like that. It's not an easy skill to have. So well done, Pulisic, for that. I thought sometimes when he got the ball, he was silky. I think he could have had an assist for Kai Havertz as well. Havertz should have scored, yeah. I thought it was a superb game today. Personally, my man of the match was actually him. Just about.
Okay, fair. No, that is fair. He was brilliant. And I've said this before. He is the only player in our team that does this far post thing. And that's one of the things that riles me up about Werner so much. I'm like, so you're not a 9, you're not a winger, your position is this spot exactly between there, but you still never turn up at the far post. And when you do, you miss. So that's one of the big things that riles me up so much about Werner. And then I see this finish by Pulisic. And then I'm like, I don't even want to imagine what happens if Werner tries to blast that into the roof of the net. He wouldn't even try, especially now with his lack of confidence. But if he would, I just don't even want to imagine how that would go. But again, I don't even want to turn this into Werner slander. Just big up to Pulisic for arriving at that far post, having that finish, the link up with Havertz for that goal too. Should have had an assist, realistically. Brilliant. Maybe you're even convincing me that he should have been man of the match. I just feel like outside of the standout moments of goals and possible assists, I just feel like, and we're going to get to that right now, Havertz was so influential on everything. You mentioned Mount, fair, but I think in final third, he just had everything went around him. He was assisting, he got a goal. He should have had 3 other goals, which I know means he missed sitters, but means he got into positions. And when, I know Werner had that months ago, where he had these loads and loads of chances in one game. But we haven't had that in a long time, where this one player managed to consistently get himself into areas and positions to really be capable of scoring without having the scream of a finish that we sometimes require. For example, Mount's goal against Porto, that was just a really good finish, not necessarily the greatest position, right? While Kai, obviously, beautiful goal, by the way, to curl it round there in a very crowded box. And then especially 2 of his other 3 big chances were significantly easier finishes. One time he just pulled the trigger way too early, could have just gone for 5 yards more and had a much easier finish. The other time he just didn't get that great of a connection. And I know he didn't score from it, but that control of Jorginho's long ball to chip it over the defender and shoot with your weak foot, that's just ridiculous. That's insane. So for me, someone put in the chat, give Pulisic 9.5, Kai 9.75. We've only done 9.25 so far. So far, we've not gone into the realm of 9.75. So I will give Kai a 9.5 as well. For me, Jam said for him, maybe Pulisic edges it slightly. For me, maybe Kai edges it slightly, which doesn't even make it too unfair if they both end up on the same actual rating and you just give him an edge within that, if that makes sense. But Pys, what about you? First of all, I presume it's one of those 2, but who would be your man of the match? And what rating would you give Kai?
Yeah, my man of the match was Kai Havertz, even though he did miss those. He missed a couple of chances that he could have scored, but I think his all-round game was unbelievably good, honestly. There could have been 4 or 5, maybe 6 plays for man of the match. We played that well, but I think Kai just stood out for his all-round game. I think just looked so good at the false line as well. And I said this, don't judge him off the Porto game. Porto, I think maybe Tuchel should have probably played Giroud because of the physicality, I think maybe. But Kai was more of, this game suited him more with the movement. He said himself after the game, he likes playing there because he can go anywhere he wants. One of the top attributes about Kai is his movement on and off the ball. So he's very, very smart for his age, very intelligent, knows where to be. And, we haven't even seen him score the poaching goals yet. He can score poaching goals like Pulisic did today, getting in the box and just tapping them in. He's more than capable of doing that because he's got the IQ and the intelligence. So, Kai for me, I would go with a 9.5 with Pulisic. He would have been a 10, but obviously he missed those couple of chances that could have got him, maybe even a hat-trick. So, it doesn't mean that he's not my man of the match. I think he is man of the match. And if you want to get, frisky and stuff, you could do 9.75, but I don't know if you want to do that.
Nah, especially if Jam thinks he would edge it slightly towards Pulisic. I think as a compromise rating of the 3 of us, I think giving both of them a 9.5 is probably fair. But at the end of the day, I'm just super, super happy with it. And before getting to the subs, I just quickly want to discuss, obviously, because I'm probably not going to speak to either of you ahead of the Porto game again. Do we agree that the sub Jorginho for Kante makes us think that's going to be the pivot on Tuesday? Because otherwise he probably takes Kovacic off. It just seemed too like a planned sub, like exactly on the 60 minutes. That didn't seem like, oh, let me make a tactical change because it suits the game right now. That was like 2 days ago, Tuchel was like, yeah, and on the hour mark, I'm going to bring Kante on for Jorginho, and that's that. And that because they're going to start together against Porto, which that's probably our most defensive double pivot, which makes sense when you're going into a quarterfinal with the 2-0 lead. Do we agree on that? Or do you think it's going to be Kovacic and Kante? So I'm very confident Kante starts. Otherwise, he probably would have done today.
No, I do agree with you. I think it will be Jorginho and Kante. As you said, seemed like a planned sub right on the 60th minute, which I don't mind, to be fair, because then Kovacic can come back in against Manchester City. So in the big semi-final game in the FA Cup. So, I mean, whatever pivot we play, I do kind of like. I just hope that... I don't know what you guys think, but when Kante come on today, I thought we lost a bit of ball control. Not too sure what you guys think, but personally, I noticed that I didn't think we was as secure on the ball when Jorginho was on the pitch. And that's natural anyway. I think Jorginho is just generally better technically, whereas Kante is obviously better defensively.
And physically, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you get your pros and cons with whatever pivot you play. I just hope it works out well against Porto. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not really too fussed anyway because we've got a 2-0 lead, and also we have a manager that just does not care. Like, he will just make subs if he wants to. You know, no one's kind of getting a free pass here. If you're not playing well or something, he's going to hook you off. So, you know, if Kante or Jorginho are playing bad, then Kovacic can come back in and sort things out. So I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair. Do you agree as well, Jam? Or
Yeah, I agree. I mean, remember the Champions League, we've got 5 subs as well. And as Pys said, we've got Man City on the weekend. But then also, I think on the following Monday or Tuesday, we've got Brighton. It's like quite congested. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of rotation between the two. And, yeah, 5 subs, it's cool. Like, you know, we're 2-0 up against Porto. The chances are, I mean, you'd hope so, that we'll probably get a goal first. And then keeping control of the game will be fairly straightforward from then onwards. And, you know, you'd probably want Kante on the pitch there if they're really going to go for it. So, yeah, I'm happy with those two. I think that would be the two.
Fair enough. And before we get to the subs, a comment by IHH saying, I don't have a problem with Tammy not playing at all. And hey, my thought was just don't leave him out consistently. Put him on the bench. What happens? We win 4-1. So I think Tammy did his job perfect. Just put him on a bench and see what happens. Just see what happens. But let's get to the subs. Of course, the first sub, Pys touched on him already. Got a Kante replacing Jorginho pretty much exactly on the hour mark. Also, we conceded about a minute later with Kante being involved in conceding that goal. So his rating cannot be astronomical as half of the other players so far. I would, just because like he still played well after we conceded the goal, I would probably give him like a 7. But I think any higher than that would be a bit farcical. I would even be okay giving a 6.5 because he was involved in the goal. But I think 7 would still be... Yeah, I think 7 is still okay. What would you say, Jam?
Yeah, 7. I've said it before, you know, his beautiful black head is an infinity stone, you know, from Marvel. It really is. But today he didn't really activate it that much. He didn't really need to. I thought he just came in and did a decent job. It was all right. 7. That'll do.
That is fair. Pys, what about you? 7 as well or anything different?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of toying with 6.5 to 7 because I just thought we lost a little bit of ball control in the midfield and gave a little bit of an advantage to Palace going forward. But, you know, they had the ball a little bit more when Kante came on. But, I mean, I'm happy to give him a 7, to be fair, because he was part of the team win and he didn't really do anything wrong. I just kind of like, not put me on edge, obviously, but I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I would have rather kept Jorginho on, but obviously he's got Tuesday in mind. So, yeah, I think 6.5 or 7. I mean, I'll go with 7.
Yeah, I think 7 is fair because at the end of the day, while you're 100% right that we lost a little bit of control, that was kind of mainly for about 10 minutes, and then we regained it, and he was also on the pitch for that, if that makes sense. Because towards the end of the game, like, we had total control again and probably should have scored 2 or 3 more, or at least 1 or 2 more goals. And then the next player that came on was Reece James. I touched on it already. I thought it was a sub that we needed at the time, because for me, Callum was starting to struggle a little bit in that right wing back role. And Reece came on. Not a single more thing from after he came on down that side, and he got an assist. So I think you can't really ask much more. I know he didn't play for quite as long as Kante, but I try to exclude that. It's not like it's a subs rating, right? So I think he 8.5, like, got an assist and did perfectly defensively. So I don't like that's. I mean, by that logic, you could say 10, but let's be somewhat normal and say 8.5. Do you think that's fair, Pys?
Yeah. See, this one's interesting for me, and I'll be willing to have a debate with someone, because I thought Ziyech was actually our best substitute. I thought he was very, very good when he came on. He could have had an assist as well, but again, I mean, do I lean more towards Reece getting a high rating because he did have that really good assist? Or I don't know, because I really rated Ziyech coming on. So I'm actually quite stuck with this one. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think first, actually, before I decide.
Fair enough. Jam, what would you then make of it? I mean, we haven't really discussed Ziyech. I would have given Ziyech a fairly high rating too. Not sure whether I would have given him a higher rating than Reece, because I know he should have probably, let's say, had an assist. But I think, I don't know. I thought Reece brought a significant impact into the game, and I think we might have had those chances that we had with Ziyech, whether it was Ziyech on the pitch or not. But I think if we left Callum on without James, I think we would have had a little bit more defensive problems. Hence why I give Reece more of an impact in terms of on the pitch, even though it's not necessarily like on the ball impact like Ziyech, of course, would have had. But sorry, go on, Jam. What would you say?
I'd probably say an 8. I thought defensively he was solid. I think he had a few tussles with Zaha, if I'm right. Yeah, it was Zaha.
Or Schlupp, or one of them anyway.
Yeah, it was one of the players. But no, I thought he was brilliant going forward too. He had the space though. This is the difference. He did have the space as Palace came forward, but he used his space well, created a few chances. I think there was a bit of a wild shot that he had. But no, Reece did well. I think 8's fair, to be fair.
Fair enough. And then to make Pys's mind up a little bit, let's talk about Ziyech straight away. What would you give Ziyech then, if you give Reece an 8?
Do you know what? Ziyech was good. He was good, but 7.5, I'd say. I'd put Reece just that little bit more in front because he got the assist, if it's counted as an assist, that is. But Ziyech was really good. It's probably not, but Ziyech was good. He was really good off the bench. He was energetic. His movement was great. His passing was great. That pass to Kai Havertz was great. It is literally just because of that assist or non-assist. That's the difference. Other than that, he did really well.
Yeah, it's weird, really. Always when you talk about assists, obviously sometimes the pass is just so great, but you can have 2 equally great passes, and then once the striker finishes and once he doesn't, and then one guy has the assist and once he doesn't, and it's actually nothing to do with the guy that provided the pass. I know, obviously, I say it's a separate rating, but to me, something to do with it is also that. Like, how long was he on the pitch for? Barely 10 minutes. Like, to me, he didn't maybe quite have enough time to be the highest rated, if that makes sense. Like I said, I would have given James 8.5 and Ziyech maybe even an 8, just to be on positive, because I think what Jam said, the 7.5 is also fair, but I think he should have had that assist, and I don't want to put it against him that he didn't, if that makes sense. My man, Michael, hope you're well, bro. Hope you're well. Oh, Pys, have we helped you out a little bit? What ratings would you give these guys?
Yeah, I've decided that Reece gets a higher rating just about. I think because of the assist, and also I think he was on a little bit longer. I've seen on here that Ziyech was on 10 minutes. And to be fair, he played really well. I mean, he made a key pass and he completed all his passes, 100% pass accuracy. He was really good, but I think James just edges it because of also he had to do the defending as well, and he got the assist. So I think just edges it. I'm going to give Reece an 8.5 and Ziyech an 8.
Griezmann just missed the sitter off a century. What is he doing? Also, the weather there, it's like the craziest rainstorm I've ever seen. The rain is going sideways, not even just downwards. Like, it's mad. But it's a crazy good game to watch. I'm all like, did Courtois save that? No, goal kick. But anyways, crazy fun game. But yeah, I think the 8.5s and 8 are fair. Again, I know Pys always does this in terms of if you don't play as long, you don't give equally as high of a rating. I always try to just rate and judge how long they're on the pitch for. But the shorter that is, anything under 15 minutes becomes a bit trickier because it's you don't have enough time to even make mistakes, basically, especially when we're 4-1 up by that point. While Reece provided the assist for that 4-1, and I think it's easier just to play well when you're 4-1 up compared to when it's 3-1. I don't know, because that's even slightly on the edge. True, just that Griezmann was offside anyway. So I guess it's fair. Let's agree on that. Just correct me if I'm wrong. You did agree with this, right, Pys, with the 8.5 and 8?
Yeah, and also, Reece played 14 minutes and Ziyech played 10 on the dot. So, yeah,
Reece that's without
just a little. Yeah, true, yeah. So, but Reece, did play a tiny bit more.
Yeah. And now we get to Thomas Tuchel today, who certainly deserves a good rating. Don't think he could have done much better. Obviously, Miz, you might not have seen that, Jam, but Miz last time out, in our last player ratings after the Porto game, basically talked us into including the pre-match press conference, how well he handled that into the match rating for Tuchel. So if we're going to do that, we probably have to drop Tuchel's rating because people were not happy with his comments on Tammy. Some people were less so. I think he could have worded it slightly friendlier towards Tammy personally. While I understand his sentiment, I think he could have worded it somewhat nicer. But I'm not going to include it. I know we did that with Miz. Miz ain't here today, so we're not going to do that today. And then on the day, I think you got it spot on. I mean, the only thing you could argue is maybe the Kante sub didn't work out so well, but that's with Tuesday in mind and giving Jorginho a bit of a rest, and we have a lot of big games coming up. So it made total sense, if you ask me. But hey, I mean, we have to get used to this anyway. If we stay in the Champions League, we play every Saturday, Tuesday/Wednesday now. So this is what it's going to be, right? But Tuchel, I mean, if we didn't give any of the players a 10, I'm not sure whether we should give Tuchel a 10. To be honest, because of the Kante thing, maybe. I don't know. I would say 9.5. But if you both tell me 10, then I will agree with you on the 10. So let me go with you first, Jam. What about Tuchel's rating? 9.5, 9, 10? What would you say?
Probably a 9. I thought, this is the right starting team. He did well, but what's a perfect performance for a manager? What is a perfect performance for a manager? It's making subs that are really, really effective. And the subs weren't bad, but would you say that they were that effective?
I mean, one of them got an assist, to be fair, so you can't say they were awful.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, look, I'm just saying that I think it's somewhere in between. It was okay. It was good. It was really good, actually, in fact. But 9, I don't really see it going much higher than that, to be fair.
Fair enough. I mean, Wuxler has a very funny comment here. Kept Werner off and put Pulisic on. That's an immediate +2 on the rating.
Oh, my gosh.
But Pys, what would you say? Would you more lean towards the 9.5, 10, or 9 like Jam, maybe even lower? What would you say?
Well, I'm trying to think what he did wrong, and I can't think of anything. I mean, we played great football. We scored 4 goals. He picked a good team. In fact, the right team, the right front three especially. So, in my opinion, he gets a 10 because I think it's a perfect performance. I mean, he's not at fault for the goal. No one really was. It's not one of those where you can blame his coaching for anything. It was just a cross in the box. Chilwell, the best strikers in the air in the Prem. So, I to be honest, when I look at the manager, I always knock ratings off for, a 0.5 for something he did wrong. I don't know what he did wrong, so I can't give him any lower than a 10, to be honest with you.
I mean, fair enough. I think because obviously as a compromise rating, if Jam says 9, you say 10, I say 9.5, 9.5 is then probably fair. It kind of goes along with 2 brilliant players on the pitch today. The manager also being brilliant. By the way, Barcelona just got one back now through their centre-back who is new, so I always forget his name. The dude that should have gotten sent off against PSG, if that helps any of you. But regardless, that's our ratings for today. The last 1 or 2 things I want to discuss with you, Jam. I know you have your evening plan with your girlfriend, so if you need to head off, that's totally fine. Just a couple of other things that I want to touch on, because in terms of Porto, right, I said this yesterday with Pys already. For me, it makes a lot of sense if we, especially now with how the game went today and who played and who didn't play, especially that Pulisic, who we know with the injury problems, he played the full 90 today. That means he's not starting Porto. I'm very certain of that. As much as he was great and people want, keep him playing, then don't risk it. I'd rather he keep playing once every week like this than get injured again and not play again for a month, right? Don't want that. So for me, I think Werner starts up top and we just hit on the break. I know it doesn't, you think it maybe doesn't make sense, but Giroud obviously there's a point for Giroud against Porto with the long balls, but you can also make the case, just play the long balls a bit longer and use Werner's pace to just get past the centre-back rather than putting him in a duel with the centre-back consistently. And then I just probably have Mount and Ziyech around him. Do you boys agree with that? Is that what you think we'll see on Tuesday? Or what would you say for that one, Jam?
I just get a feeling he might change it completely. Mount needs a rest, doesn't he?
Nah, not
does he? Does he need to start this one?
I think Mount needs to start every game he's fit for.
I kind of get that reason, but would Ziyech not play? Werner maybe play on the left?
Both of them, I would say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ziyech, Werner, Giroud, maybe. I kind of see that for some reason. I've got that in my head. I can see that happening.
Yeah, it is fair. Like I said, I mean, I arguably have a bigger agenda against Giroud than I do against Werner, in all honesty. Because whenever someone says start Giroud, I'm like, you sure you want that? And it's just my instinctive reaction. It's not even like I try to, paint out and script out a certain fair argument. It's just my initial reaction. Really, Giroud? But Pys, how do you think the front three, especially after this game? Obviously, we discussed it yesterday, but now that we saw who started today, who played the full 90 today and stuff, how do you see the Tuesday lineup going?
Yeah, so Tuchel's got two options for me. Like as you said, he can play Werner, down the middle. He can play Giroud because I think Havertz will probably start against Man City. But I think, I think what he might do is he might play Reece James right wing back and then he might move Hudson-Odoi into the front three. I've got a feeling he could do that because he did bring Hudson-Odoi off today. So I think maybe that was a little bit of a rest for him, or maybe it could have just been a normal sub. But I have a feeling he might do something like Hudson-Odoi, Giroud, Ziyech, or Hudson-Odoi, Werner, Ziyech. I think Ziyech will start. I think Mount will start against Man City. I think Mount and Havertz will both be rested. It'll just be interesting to see who starts up top between Werner or Giroud, because I think the wingers will be Hudson-Odoi and what's his name, Ziyech, because I think he'll just start the front three that happened today against Man City and just give him a whole week off, because I think the rotation coming in with Hudson-Odoi, Giroud / Werner and Ziyech is more than enough to get the job done. And I think Tuchel trusts everyone, so he don't necessarily need to keep one or two of them in there if he doesn't have to. I mean, we've got a 2-goal lead as well, so just stick Reece James right wing back, and I mean, whatever front three chooses, I think it'll be more than enough. But personally, I'd like to see Hudson-Odoi, Giroud, and Ziyech.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a case of Mason is 22. When Frank was here, Mason's had 13 games in a row, including midweek games. So,
also, Laurenz, can I just say also that remember when Mount started too many games in a row, his performances started to drop. So I'd like to see if Tuchel can manage him a little bit better than Lampard did personally.
Yeah, I see that, but I think do that when we play Brighton, not in a Porto game, which is going to be physical, which is going to be about, making sure we grind our way through that unless we somehow get an early goal. And who do I want on the pitch? If we need to grind, then I want no one ahead of Mount on that pitch. And a Champions League quarterfinal, with how important he is to us, I don't care whether we're 2-0 up, he has to start for me. And I think he's 22. I know don't overplay him, fine, but he didn't start West Brom. We don't need to give 22-year-olds just one game a week. I think that's overkill a little bit in terms of rest, because by that logic, if we play every player just once a week, especially we're not going to say that for Aspi and Rüdiger, we're going to play those guys again as well, and Chilwell should play again, and so if that applies to them, I think Mount can probably handle it much better than all of these guys combined, personally. I think if we get too much into a habit of rotating every player every 2 games, don't see how if we do that, we get top 4 at the Champions League final. I don't know. I think we have certain best players and some of those just need to keep playing. I don't know. Hey, I mean, we all have different opinions. And, I just quickly wanted to discuss it because I thought it was interesting how people think that game will go. And again, like Jam said earlier, we have the 5 subs. So you can't start Mount and take him off after an hour when we're kind of closer to having seen it out, if that makes sense. Or, of course, I mean, you can also say the first hour is not so stressy anyway. So let's just bring Mount on for the last half an hour to grind the thing out, which I think is totally fair anyway. Jam just told me that the beautiful man needs to head off to spend his lovely evening with his lovely girlfriend. Real Madrid, let me see. Are they going to score? No, Vinicius bought it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jam, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I know it was kind of squeezed in there tonight. Again, appreciate you coming on. Check all of you guys, please go check him out on Twitter and, of course, check out the Chelsea social, to which the link is down in the description below. I'm going to round this out now anyway. Don't really have much more to add, to be honest. We went through all the ratings. We went through even talking about Porto for a minute or two here. So let's just round it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I really do appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. Subscribe if you haven't already. We still have 150 people watching, which I really do appreciate. Have we hit 100 likes? What? A minute ago, it said 96 likes, and now it's 88 likes. So if people unliked, this is outrageous. Go down below, smash the like button right now, and get us to 100 likes immediately. There's enough people here. Go down below, smash the like button, turn it from grey to blue. It doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't cost you any time, really. And just do that. We'd massively appreciate it. If you want to become a member, there's a join button underneath if you're on desktop, or a link in the description if you're on your phone. Again, shout out Jam already. Check out, of course, Pys on Twitter as well. His link is down in the description. But yeah, to be honest, guys, that's really been it from me. Get subscribed. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Smash the like button. What a beautiful day it has been for Chelsea Football Club. What a great game. What a great performance. I am happy. Let's hope results go away tomorrow as well. That'd be great. What are we saying anyway? Just quickly as your last thoughts. Do we want a draw in both of these games? Or do we just want United to win and a draw in the other one?
A draw in both. A draw in both. Yeah, Tottenham are... The thing with Tottenham is a draw in both... Man United, though, are we going to catch them? This is a big gap. And not many games to go, like 7 games to go. No, do you know what? A draw in both. I can never say I want Man United to win a game. Draw in both.
Yeah, exactly. Pys, what about you? Draw in both, or got a preference?
Well, that would be lovely. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Man U will probably beat Spurs. Leicester West Ham's very interesting.
Especially without Rice.
Yeah, but I mean, you see West Ham the other day against Wolves, they were pretty good. So,
were they? They almost bottled it at the end, didn't they?
No, yeah, they almost bottled it as that. But I mean, like in general play, I thought they were pretty good, and so I mean, they didn't really affect that much going forward anyway, because Antonio was out as well, I think. So, I mean, a draw in both would be nice, but I don't think it will happen.
That is fair enough. Hey, we can hope. We can hope. I'm not sure who it was. I think Toni Kroos might have missed an absolute sitter for Real Madrid just then. It looked like it was Toni Kroos anyway. Could be wrong. Regardless, we're going to finally round it out here. I do apologize, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Smash the like button. Let's get 100 likes right now. That'd be massively appreciated. Check out both of these guys down in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Upwards and onwards. And I'll see you next time.